Hello, Mama friends. This week we are talking about why you hate meal planning on the Mama Gets It Done podcast. I'm so excited to dive into this, and we're going to really decode why you actually hate meal planning and what we can actually do about it. Are you ready to be more productive in your home and say goodbye to the dreaded mom guilt associated with a messy house and chaotic days? Hey, my name's Rachel, and the Mama Gets It Done podcast is for the everyday mom. Yes, even those hot mess moms who just need a little grace and a few tips for getting more done in your day. If you're ready to figure out how to stop hating cooking every night, how to give chaotic days a little more structure, and how to find more time for you in this crazy mom life, then you are in the right place. Hello. This week is a really big week here at the Mama Gets It Done podcast because I'm doing my first episode about meal planning. If you knew me before now, you probably knew me because of my meal plans and my freezer meal plans. And so this week we're taking a really big dive on something that I find really important, and that is why you hate meal planning. So many people hate meal planning, right? I hated meal planning at one point. I sometimes still hate meal planning when I fall off the wagon, and I'm not following my ways that I should be following. But there are some really solid reasons at why we hate it, and we don't have to live that way. We don't have to hate meal planning if we do it strategically. I am all about strategic meal planning. That is what my big thing is. A strategic meal plan serves you and your family and doesn't worry about all the other rules of the world. So we're going to jump right into why you hate meal planning and what we're doing wrong so that maybe you can figure out what you can do differently to fit your family's needs. The first one about why you hate meal planning and how you aren't meal planning strategically is that you are using coupons to dictate what your meal plan is. So basically, coupons can be a great thing, but they can also be a really crappy thing. When we use coupons in a bad way, they take a ton of time. And listen, I know at one point, I was actually that person who couponed hardcore. I mean, I was the extreme couponer. I was going to 3 or 4 different stores and I would get things really cheap, right? But I can't tell you how much of that food just sat because it wasn't food that I actually wanted to eat, and then I couldn't get myself to eat it. Yeah, sure, I saved a ton of money doing it, but I don't think the time exchange was worth it for me. Of course, it depends on your situation, but right now, if I strategically meal plan, I can spend only $200 a month on dinners, not my entire month of food is only $400. So to me, that's really a good deal, and it's really acceptable without coupons. We can totally throw coupons into this meal planning thing, strategic meal planning, but not in this way. So when you use coupons bad, they take a ton of time, right? They force you to buy things you actually don't like. So hence why I had ramen sitting in my closet, my pantry for forever. And I don't like ramen, but I got it for free. So why not grab the free ramen? I should have donated it, but I felt guilty because I was like, it's in my pantry, I should eat it. So it was just this guilt spiral that went on. It also forces you to buy more than you need because usually they'll say buy 2 get 1 free or something like that. And when we run into things like that, we ended up buying more than we need, and it'll either go to waste or it'll just sit there, right? It's just this, and then you've spent money on it, and yeah, it just doesn't work out. So when you're basing your meal plan off of coupons, a lot of times while you're trying to save money, you're going to end up wasting a lot of money. And it causes a lot of stress on you because you've got food you don't like. And who wants to live that way, right? How we can actually use coupons strategically in our meal planning is to make your meal plan. And then after you figure out your grocery list and what you need, then go on the digital app for the store and check, do they have coupons for these foods? That is the best way. Or just check your weekly ad and see do they have any sales on these foods? Could I strategically do this a little bit better? And that is how I suggest to use coupons and not letting the coupons actually dictate what you're buying. The number 2 reason that you may hate meal planning is because you think that meal planning is just picking 5 recipes and calling it a day. And that is not what we need our strategic meal plan to be. Here's the pitfalls. So when we pick 5 recipes and we just say, great, that's it, we end up spending a ton of money on a lot of random ingredients because we haven't looked at what goes well together. We have a lot more food waste, and that's because we have a lot of random ingredients, and that's because we also burn out. Because when you're cooking so much, you're going to burn out. If you're trying to cook 5 nights a week and you have a really busy schedule and you have little children or whatever's going on in your life, almost inevitably, you're going to burn out. So trying to cook a full-on meal every night, honestly, is just not something I suggest unless it's a dump recipe like my freezer meal prep stuff. And this is a good segue. If you're listening, this week, the fall freezer meal guide is going on sale, and we're going to be doing a live prep so you can prep with me next week. So it's definitely exciting stuff. I will link it down in the show notes below when it goes live, because it's actually going live tomorrow, not today, that you're going to actually be listening the day this comes out. But I'm really excited about this, you guys, and I know you guys are too. So if you're listening to this podcast at a later date, it will still be linked and you can go check it out. You can also check out the replay of our live prep. And another pitfall is when we aren't meal planning strategically and we're picking those 5 random recipes, we're not looking at our schedule to help dictate what we're going to make that night. So when you don't look at your schedule, then you might plan a meal that takes an hour to make or to bake or whatever, and maybe you only have 30 to 45 minutes that night until you've got to go to soccer practice, or maybe you get home late from work that night. If you don't actually look at your schedule and see what's going on and think about how much time you actually have to cook before your kids become like gremlins, then you're gonna have a bad time and you're gonna hate this meal planning thing. So not looking at your schedule is a big deal on why you might hate meal planning, because everything goes wrong on the nights that you didn't plan it perfectly. Number 4 on why you might hate meal planning is going to be you're picking too many new recipes. So how many times when you've gotten this really exciting thought and you're okay, I'm going to meal plan. This is going to be great. I'm going to do this. And you sit down and you're scrolling Pinterest and you're picking out all these recipes that sound delicious. Then you go to the grocery and you pick up all the things and you spend $1 million because you have to get so many new ingredients for all these new recipes. And then once you get down to it, these new recipes are actually taking you 30 minutes more than what it says it's going to take because it's new, right? You're having to figure out how to prep it correctly or how to cook it correctly and all this stuff. It's not as easy as they make it sound. It never is. And then dinner's on the table at bedtime and then everybody's hangry and it's just a whole mess. And then this also goes right back to cooking burnout. You get so frustrated that you don't want to cook the next night again. And you don't want to go through that again. So why would you do another new recipe? So when you pick so many new recipes in 1 week, it's just a recipe for disaster. That was a really good one, you guys. It's just a recipe for disaster when you pick so many new recipes in 1 week. So we really want to take a step back from that. And we want to think about if you're doing weekly cooking and you're actually cooking every night, I would only suggest you do 1 new recipe per week. That's it. That's all I want you to do. And this is really when you go through and do this, you can tackle that 1 new recipe a week and look at your schedule on a night that you don't have a lot going on, that you have time to really tackle this, and that maybe think about getting your kids occupied elsewhere. And then once you have it down and you know how long it actually takes you to cook and everything, then it's not a new recipe anymore and you can add it into your menu or whatever. But definitely don't add 2 or 3 of those in 1 week, because that's just going to be overly stressful for you and not really worth it. And I know this sounds annoying because it's it's going to take me forever to actually get some good recipes that I'm feeding my family. And no, I'm sure there are great recipes that you're feeding your family right now. Sure, they might not be your ideal recipes, but we're going to take baby steps towards this change. And once you like finally get there, you're going to really see like how sustainable it is when you take those baby steps. Because we are not here to try and burn out on meal planning and cooking every night like in 5 seconds, right? How many times have you tried to meal plan and failed and then you give up, right? So many times I have seen this over and over again where it's like, I'm not going to do it anymore. I've tried and tried. Every time it's awful. Every time I spend too much money, meal planning sucks. I hate it. It's not worth it. I'm just going to order out food. I'm just going to get HelloFresh or whatever. And sometimes, yes, ordering out food and HelloFresh is what you need to do for your life. And that is okay. But if you want to come up with a more sustainable option that you can actually manage, we're going to take these baby steps to actually build a meal plan and a meal planning routine that works for you. So we're not going to cover like all the ins and outs of like how to build a meal plan and how to do all that stuff today, because quite honestly, it's a lot. And I have a full-on course about it if you need to know that. But I will go over a few quick tips on how you can get started and actually make it sustainable, right? So tip number 1 is obviously going to be start slow. Like, identify the areas where you need to improve. Maybe it's just like, I need to pick recipes that work with my schedule, or I need to pick easier recipes, or I need to pick 15-minute recipes and go from there. Do not be afraid to just buy a meal plan from someone if you need to make that like investment. Quite honestly, a lot of times the amount that you'd pay for that is like way easier than spending 4 hours on trying to figure out like this whole meal planning thing, right? So that's why I have all my freezer meal plans. I have a month meal plan too that you guys have options, and I'll link all those below. But if you just need like a quick like save me, pull the cord, save me right now type thing, those are perfect. You do not have to meal plan. You can pay somebody else to do that. That's okay. You don't have to be the super mom who does every single thing. It's okay to ask for help. We're going to have to like this. That's a whole nother podcast. It's okay to ask for help. We'll just put it that way. And then, so basically start by looking at your schedule, right? Start simple, get really simple, easy recipes, ones that you know your family already likes, and go from there. Try to batch cook some things so that you aren't cooking every night, and basically just cook a really big meal and have leftovers one night, or double it and put one in the freezer. Little things like that will go a very long way. Make sure you're meal planning by what you actually already have in your pantry and not what you just see in the sales papers. So use up what you got. That's important, very important. And there are some amazing resources out there for that. My favorite is a website called Supercook, where you can put in what you have, and then it'll tell you all the millions of recipes that you can actually make. So there's like literally all kinds of options there. I think in our meal planning group, I suggested that tool, and somebody was like, wait a second, I have like literally thousands of recipes that I can make just out of what I have in my kitchen. This is amazing. And it really is literally amazing. You have so many things that you can do with what you have. I'm sure of it. And, you would be very surprised by what you can actually make. Let me tell you. And my last quick tip for like, if you're trying to start this meal planning journey, is have backups. So have like a frozen dinner in your freezer, whether you've prepped it or whether you have grabbed it from the store, that you know you can make on the fly in minutes if you need to, because know that your meal plan is not always going to go as planned. Backups are so important so that you're not like running out to the grocery store or running out to go to fast food and at every chance you get. So having backups, and just like solid backups that you know your whole family will like a pasta, spaghetti, a very simple like chicken nuggets. Yes. Okay. Don't do chicken nuggets every night, but yeah, chicken nuggets are fine. It'll be okay for one night when you just need that backup. And don't feel bad about it either. It's okay. Kids love chicken nuggets. They'll survive. I promise. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Mama Gets It Done podcast. We're definitely going to have more meal planning, prepping, freezer meal prepping stuff on down the road. Don't you worry. If you have questions about this episode or comments, definitely shoot me an email, Rachel@thiscraftyhome, or you can shoot the podcast an email at mamagetsitdonepodcast@gmail.com. I'm loving the podcast so far, and I love that you guys love it. Next week, we're going to have a super special guest. I think it's going to be next week. So hold on to your seats because you're going to love this one. It's from a super productive, amazing mom who I am obsessed with. So definitely stick around and be around next week to listen to that. Thank you guys so much. And give yourselves a little bit of grace and a lot of coffee this week. Bye.